In the 6 months after pro-Trump supporters attacked the U.S. Capitol to overturn the results of the 2020 election, some Republicans have downplayed the severity of that day. The law officers who protected the Capitol pushing back on that Tuesday.
It was an attempted coup that was happening at the Capitol that day. And if it had been another country, the U.S. would have sent help.
Gonell, one of 4 law enforcement officers testifying about being brutally beaten by the former president's supporters.
At some point during the fighting, I was dragged from the line of officers and into the crowd. I heard someone scream, "I got one." As I was swarmed by a violent mob, they ripped off my badge. They grabbed and stripped me of my radio. They seized ammunition that was secured to my body. They began to beat me with their fists and with what felt like hard metal objects.
And hurling racial slurs at African-American officers.
Then the crowd, perhaps around 20 people, joined in screaming, "Boo, fucking nigger."
An emotional beginning to the first day of public hearings by a special panel investigating the worst attack on the U.S. Capitol in 2 centuries.
There's no place for politics or partisanship in this investigation. Our only charge is to follow the facts where they lead us.
But the top House Republican criticized House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's decision to remove 2 of his choices for the investigation.
Speaker Pelosi will only pick on people onto the committee that will ask the questions she wants asked. That becomes a failed committee and a failed report, a sham that no one can believe.
2 Republicans have defied their party to serve on the panel, including Liz Cheney, who was removed from a leadership position for her criticism of Trump. She said his exact role in inciting the riot should be investigated.
We must also know what happened every minute of that day in the White House. Every phone call, every conversation, every meeting leading up to, during, and after the attack.
The panel, which has 7 Democrats, will likely seek to compel testimony from top former White House aides as part of their investigation into the riot that contributed to the deaths of 7 people. The disturbing new testimony prompting the only other Republican on the panel to call the investigation a turning point for the reputation of the United States.
You know, democracies are not defined by our bad days. We're defined by how we come back from bad days, how we take accountability for that.
The House panel is expected to continue the investigation through the end of the year. Catherine Gibson, VOA News, Washington.